Hi there, this is Randy again with ofapt.org. In the past few years, I've taken on a new interest in air rifles. Over the decades, I've always had an old Crossman pump lying around, but for nothing more than running off a stray dog. In my opinion, they were never really more than a big kid's toy for the most part. But in the last 10 years or so, air rifles have taken on a new face. They've come out with CO2 rifles, larger calibers such as 25 and 30 caliber, and they're no longer toys. These things are quite powerful. As always, when researching them, my mind went to the long-term and/or emergencies, for what use and how useful such would be for my needs. CO2 was never appealing to me because one is always limited to access to what powers them. You can have 1,000 rounds of pellets on hand, and without filled canisters or air tanks, you've got nothing, and I lose interest quite rapidly. For my needs, if I were able to harvest small game such as squirrels and rabbits for food in the least noticeable fashion, I would be interested. In the past 7 or 8 years, I started seeing more online concerning break barrel air guns with spring pistons. About 3 years ago, I came across a Hatsan brand air rifle made in Turkey. It was less expensive than many of the other brands, so I gave it a try. It is a Hatsan 125th Vortex. I chose the .177 caliber because they're more readily available locally, and the velocity is what really grabbed my interest. Rated at 1,250 feet per second, these air rifles are running very close to the speed of a .22 long rifle. These are still available, but I believe the thumbhole stock is no longer being manufactured. The air rifle has some drawbacks, and I'll go over those. I've seen complaints that the thumbhole stock tends to break, so I'm assuming that's why they're no longer available on the newer versions. Also, the biggest drawback, in my opinion, is the weight. The 125 with scope weighs almost 10 pounds, and for me that's a disadvantage. I can throw it to my shoulder and make a fairly decent shot, but would be much more accurate if the thing weighed a few pounds less. I sighted this rifle in previously, but ran into a couple of issues, and I got those resolved in the past couple of days. This video will be overrun with narration, but let's mix it with a little bit of fun and a few facts, and hopefully a couple of decent tips at the end for your reference. Just for gits and chiggles, we're going to treat the remainder of this video as if it were a training course. We'll call it Varmint Eradication training, but we'll need to fill you in on some common English words and phrases, along with some Southern terms and meanings so that we'll all be on the same page. We have 8 English words and terms and also 2 target definitions, and I'll try to get through these quickly. But the first English words are rectify and rectifier. To rectify is to make right. Rectifier is an electrical device which converts an alternating current into a direct one which flows in only one direction. A similar Southern backyard term is to rectify with rectal fire. This is when one learns to protect his property from a destructive home intruder, such as an opossum, rat, skunk, or raccoon, by honing his ARSE skills. ARSE is an abbreviated technical term for Automatic Response Simulated Effect. ARS training relates to target practice, scope sighting, alignment using paper and steel targets. Firing a pellet or projectile downrange, rounds impacting a target in center proximity will result in automatic response simulated effect, i.e. ripping a hole through and/or downing a target. Cause and effect. Rectal fire also has multiple meanings. Rectal fire can be the emission of intestinal gases, of which we won't go into today. A rectal misfire can be something much more dangerous. The English word ramification means aftermath, outcome, or effect. In relation to target training, sighting in your weapon, Southern backyard term for ramification is the process of ramming or firing a projectile, pellet or round, into a home intruder. Velocity, impact, entrance and exit wound equal ramification. Again, in this course, we will refer to intruder only as rodent or varmint, such as an opossum, rat, skunk, or raccoon, by way of honing our arse skills. Although the same principles could be applied to home defense with other tools. English phrase, way out that direction. The southern backyard term for this is "we out yonder." Generally, this is 220 yards or more. We think subconsciously that we're saying "way out yonder," but to the average ear it sounds like "we." This is known as the Southern Little Pig Syndrome. We do realize this and take full responsibility for the term. It's just how we end up saying it. Now, enough with definitions and terms. Let's move on to scope calibration, target label definitions, and honing our arse skills. The target label definition for HIP is high impact proximity or horizontal impact proximity. The definition for THIGH is troubling high impact in relation to ground height, or if hitting to the left or right of center mass, it's troubling horizontal impact in relation to ground height. Thigh impact slang is "that might work, but you're shooting too low, bud." I brought a couple of camp stools and accessories to build a rifle rest. First of all, this box is empty. No drinking before or during rifle shooting. Secondly, this bag of beans works perfect for a rest. Now, I know it looks cheap, but I've probably got $35 in this. I've got $8 in the bag of beans, I've got 15 in the Seagrams, and of course the price of the stools. Now let's move on to some target setup. I started realizing something was off when I was sighting in this rifle. This happened also previously. It seemed like that the shots were all over the place no matter what adjustments I made. I'll go ahead and run through the sequence of shots and then I'll let you know what I found out. During both sessions attempting to sight the Hatsan in, today and previously, I had been using Crosman Premier pellets. I was surprised at how difficult the pellets were at inserting into the breech. They were way too tight, and the rear walls of the pellets were very thin. If not careful, I'd find myself altering the back end of the pellet with my fingernail just trying to get it completely seated. After the sequence of shots, I switched to Gammo pellets, and they were absolutely a world of difference. I'm not saying that Crosman makes a bad product. Maybe I just got a bad tin. But within 8 shots after switching to Gammo, I had this thing hitting dead on. Oh, and one tip concerning scope sighting. I found that if you store a dime inside one of the calibration caps, you never have to worry about digging for a coin or hunting for a tool. A 10-cent piece works great. 3 things I've learned. 1. Accuracy is dependent upon the type of round. I wish I had realized this sooner. 2. In my opinion, this rifle is very accurate up to 60 yards and moderately accurate up to 120 yards or possibly more, and there's no dependency on CO2 cylinders. 3. This rifle is very capable of producing the LYAU effect. The definition for that is light yo arse up.